Uh, Dr. Tariq is US born and raised. He's a graduate with a degree of business administration, but Allah blessed him and he finished his PhD in Sharia from the Medina Al Munawwara Islamic University. I've been personally been working with Sheikh Tariq for, oh gosh, I don't know, since probably he was in high school. And he's been involved with Hajj for a very long time, mashallah. So hopefully he'll be able to give you a good educational session and we'll answer as many questions as we have, inshallah. طيب, Sheikh Tariq, the floor is yours.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala Sayyidina wa Habibina Muhammad, طب القلوب ودوائها ونور الأبصار وضيائها وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Okay, we have a lot to cover, so we're going to do our best, inshallah, to get through it. Unfortunately, that means we have to sacrifice on some of the spiritual elements of Hajj, but we'll do our best to fill in the blanks. So I'm sure many of you are all aware of the great virtue of Hajj, one of the 5 pillars of Islam. A pillar that combines, or a devotion that combines both the body as well as wealth that's involved. The person's sacrifice, not just with their physical, with their physical endeavors that they have to give for it, but also financially. Hajj is not cheap, but again, you never spend something in the way of Allah except that Allah Azza wa Jal replaces it with something better. So when we speak about Hajj, the main goal, what is everyone looking for Hajj? Just very, very quickly, just blurt out. What are you looking for Hajj?
رضا الله.
Rida Allah, or Hajj al-Mabrur, the accepted Hajj. Hajj that the Prophet ﷺ said that وَالْحَجُّ الْمَبْرُورُ لَيْسَ لَهُ جَزَاء إِلَّا الْجَنَّةِ, that the accepted Hajj or the righteous Hajj, the reward of it is nothing other than Jannah itself. Now, what is Hajj al-Mabrur? What is the accepted Hajj? The accepted Hajj is, scholars differed, but generally it's the Hajj that is done with all of its pillars being fulfilled, with all of the things that must be avoided being avoided, and it is done with the level of sincerity and ihsan that even the extra aspects of the Hajj. So the wajib, the obligations, as well as some of the sunan are done. The argumentation and the other things, those are all avoided. So this is what you have to put before you start. I mean, from now, you have to embed this in your heart and this intention that that's what you're going for. And then you have to prepare for it. You have to prepare for it because, again, it's going to not just, okay, I'm going to pack this, I'm going to do this. No, mentally. You have to mentally and spiritually prepare for this journey because you are going to be challenged. Your whole life, you are in this battle with Shaitan, all right? And it's a back and forth battle. Who's going to win the war is the real question. One of the greatest losses that Shaitan faces with this battle between him and humans is Hajj itself. Because all of the work that Shaitan had invested in inspiring you to do sin and to inspire you to be off the path of Allah Azza wa Jal, all of that is wiped away in an instant on the day of Arafah. So here it's an opportunity then that Shaitan is going to do what he can to prevent you from going to Hajj or to messing up your Hajj. And there's a hadith about that. The Prophet ﷺ said that Shaitan himself, and he sets his soldiers out in ambush to the people who are going to go fight jihad and who are going to go for Hajj, because the reward is so great for it, because the loss of Shaitan is so impactful that they do what they can to divert you from it. And you'll see this. You're going to be tested to see if you're sincere or not at Hajj. But the sooner you have this mental focus, then the things that might normally derail you, no, Brother Tariq already mentioned that this is just part of the Hajj aspect. Let it go. Overlook it. Keep going. Don't let it sacrifice your Hajj al-Mabrur. Okay? Keep that in mind from now. Now, when we speak about Hajj, there are 3 different types of Hajj. three different intentions that you can make, and then forms for Hajj. The third is the one we'll focus on because that's pretty much what everyone's going to be doing, and that's called tamattu'. And that's when a person has the intention to perform Umrah and Hajj with only one travel. Meaning, yes, you're traveling from America all the way to Mecca, but you're going to be doing that in the months of Hajj, which means right now we're in the months of Hajj, from Shawwal on, we're in the months of Hajj. And so that means that if you're going to combine these two acts of devotion, which normally require two separate trips, then you're enjoying the perks of combining these two in only one travel. And that's essentially what you're doing. So you're going to perform Hajj, Umrah, generally before the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. You will be in Ihram, and then you will get out of the state of Ihram. And once the time comes to go to Mina and start your Hajj rituals, then you will get in another state of Ihram. That is the concept of tamattu', and that's what you'll be focusing on, which also requires a sacrifice. Now, what that also looks like on a more logistical level, when we speak about getting ready for Ihram, there are many sunnah things to do for getting ready for Ihram. Some of them require or is recommended that you shave your private areas, your armpit, that you perfume yourself for the men, not for the women, that you take a shower, that you do your hair nicely, and then you will wear the ihram. Now, I don't know what the plan is. Is everyone going to Medina first, Mecca first, or is it a mix between the two?
Mixed between the two.
Okay, so if you're going to Mecca, so landing in Jeddah and going straight to Mecca, you're going to make that intention with it when you're on the plane before you arrive. Now, the concept of ihram, we associate it with the garment that you wear. But the garment was just called that because ihram itself is a state. Ihram is a spiritual state in which you enter when you make your intention for Hajj or Umrah. And you may notice it sounds familiar of the word haram because it has the same root. Because certain things, as we'll discuss, become now that used to be halal are now haram for you, such as putting on perfume, such as cutting your nails. And that's why you want to do those things before you enter into the state of ihram. So the most important thing to take away from ihram is that it is an intention. And once you enter that intention, these things now become binding upon you, and you are not allowed to get out of the state of ihram until you have completed your Hajj or your Umrah. So if you're arriving to Jeddah, you're going to get dressed in your ihram either on the plane or before you take off. And that an announcement will likely be made that now we're getting to the point where if you're going to go for Umrah, you have to be in the state of Ihram, and that's where you will make your intention. And ideally, if you can be in the state of wudu, you can pray, because it's a sunnah prayer, you can pray it sitting down. You will pray 2 rak'ah with the intention of Ihram. And these are just some of the different miqat areas that you cannot pass without being in the state of Ihram if you're going to perform Hajj or Umrah. Now, if you're going to Medina first, then you will make your miqat, you'll make your ihram from before you reach the miqat or at the miqat of Dhul Hulayfa, which is the miqat for the people of Medina and to the north. So it's at the outskirts, just at the edge of Medina. If you're taking a bus, then you will stop there more than likely, or at least do it. I'm not sure what the exact logistics are, but the main thing is that you do not surpass that place without that border without being in the state of ihram. And if it's a flight or a train, then again, the best thing to do is get dressed and ready and everything from your hotel. You can even pray your 2 rak'ah there. And then you will make your intention once you're on your riding vehicle, whatever it is, if it's a train or a flight, before again you pass that miqat, and again they will make that announcement for you. So that's if you're coming from Medina. Now, if you're already in Mecca, and you have to make a new ihram from, or you want to do another umrah. So let's say, for example, you arrive to Mecca, said, but my intention is also to do, I have 2 or 3 days until Hajj starts. I want to do an umrah for one of my parents, for example. Then what you will do, you have to combine between the sacred borders of Mecca and outside of the borders of Mecca, which means you have to just go outside the borders of Mecca, which the closest place is a place called Masjid Aisha or Tan'im. You will make intention from there, and then you can come back and do another Umrah. Okay. For the questions, by the way, if we can just hold them off until we'll try to have a QA after each section, but a lot of it will be answered in the slides more than likely, and then anything that's not, we can take the questions for it. So again, this is one of the most critical parts. This is one of the main pillars of your Hajj. You have to perform Ihram. So again, we said certain things become prohibited. What are some of those things? Some are exclusive to women, some are exclusive to men. But the general things that are shared is clipping the nails, trimming the hair, applying perfume, covering the face, hunting. For men, would be any type of clothing that engulfs a body limb or wraps around a body limb that is where it's already pre-made. So yes, there's no problem if you were to take your garment that you're going to wear and wrap it around. The problem is if you were to take a sleeve, for example. Once you put your limb into a sleeve, or let's say, for example, you had a knee sleeve or something, again, unless it's for a medical necessity, that would not be allowed under the state of ihram. Now, a common thing comes up about sandals. What about Crocs? Because the front of that Croc, for example, is completely wrapping around your toes. Some scholars are more lenient on this issue. Others are more traditional and follow that basic rule that nothing can engulf a body limb. My recommendation is always, if you're traveling halfway around the world and investing this much money in such a wonderful opportunity, take the safer route in general. Take the safer route and wear open-toed sandals. It's just my suggestion. If you follow another fatwa, then it's legitimate. Also, covering the head for men is not permissible. Now, just very quickly on the mask. Okay, what about wearing a mask? Technically, that mask falls into the same problem because you're wrapping it around your face. And unless someone has an autoimmune disease or there's, legitimate concern for getting sick and these other, then the sin would be removed from it, but you would still have to pay a fidya, a penalty. And again, there's a distinction between the two. There are certain things that you're allowed to do based upon necessity, but that doesn't negate that you have to pay a penalty for it. And paying the penalty and logistics of that, again, we can save for Q&A, but it's fairly simple. Okay, once you now have performed your Umrah, the actual days of Hajj will start, but we have to discuss how to perform your Umrah because it is an essential part of your Hajj, either if you're doing tamattu or because the rituals that you will do during Umrah will also be performed during Hajj. So what do you do when you perform Umrah? You're in the state of Ihram, and the sunnah is for men when you wear your Ihram that you, before you start, that you uncover your right shoulder, you tuck your other garment over, you throw it over your left shoulder. On the right, it's underneath and wrapped over. And you do not want to delay your Umrah. So if you get to the hotel, you settle in, you put your things. If you're tired and need rest, there's nothing wrong with that. But ideally, you want to perform your Umrah or you're waiting. But ideally, you want to perform your Umrah as quick as possible. Okay, that was the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So what will you do? You will make your way to the Kaaba. And one thing that's recommended is that as soon as you first see the Kaaba, you make dua. Because there's a hadith that the dua, when first looking at the Kaaba, is mustajab. It's answered. Okay. So you will start at the black stone. You can see in this diagram, this right here. Can you all see my mouse moving?
Yes, I do.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. So here, I think there's even a pointer option. Okay, so you see right here, this is the black stone. It is right next to the door. Now, here's what you're going to do. When you start, you can all see me, correct? So some of the conditions of doing tawaf is the Kaaba must be on your left side at all times. Okay. So what you're going to do when you first start, my shoulder is going to be parallel with the black stone. And there will be a light, a green light on your right side that will indicate that it is aligned with where the black stone is. So you're going to start facing it. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. And then as soon as you take your first step, while you're taking your first step, you're going to shift and turn to your right so that your left side is now facing the Kaaba. And you have to be in the state of wudu for performing tawaf. Understand that when you perform tawaf, two angels come down in an authentic hadith the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, and they make dua for you, for Allah to forgive you. Well, the whole time while you're doing tawaf, you want to try to be focused in tawaf, making as much dua, making as much dhikr. Please, there'll be times for selfies and live streaming and all that later. Focus on your devotion and on your ibadah. This is, again, a once in a lifetime opportunity. Make as much dua as you can. Make as much dhikr as you can. Read as much Quran as you can. And if you can prepare a list of dua, that's even better. So you have to go around the Kaaba 7 full times. If you're ever in doubt, is it 6 or 7? Then always mark it as the least amount to be on the safe side. And they'll give you clickers and other things to, keep track. But make sure that it's 7 times. Also, this part, this horseshoe part, this is all considered inside the Kaaba. So it'll be difficult anyway, but if you try to come in and pray in there, just understand that that part of your tawaf wouldn't count. You would have to, again, make it 7 full times around the entire Kaaba. Now, when you get to the Yemeni corner, if you can touch it and are close enough, then that's sunnah. Otherwise, you don't wave at it. You don't kiss your hand. That's only for the black stone. Black stone is where you will wave your hand at it, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and do that. And you don't even have to kiss your hand, just Bismillah, Allahu Akbar is enough. In between the Yemeni corner and the black stone, the only dua we have that the Prophet ﷺ made during this time is رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنَةً فِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنَةً وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Once you have completed 7 full cycles, then you are going to pray 2 rak'ah of tawaf, sunnah of tawaf. Now, if it's during the day, you'll recite silently. If it's during the night, you can recite them out loud, and you will recite in the first rak'ah, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ, and the second rak'ah, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. Ideally, it should be prayed behind Maqam Ibrahim, even if it's very far back, but it can be prayed anywhere. Okay? Once you do that, you're going to then get Zamzam. And this is, again, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He would drink as much Zamzam as he could. He would wipe it, pour it on his head, wipe it on his face, and he would make dua. And generally, when you make dua, it should be for the best of this life, for the best of the next life, and for Allah Azza wa Jal, anything else you want in between there. But you should always combine between your dunya and your akhirah. Then the Prophet ﷺ would make his way to Safa. And there's a dua, a Quran ayah you recite, Inna Safa wal Marwata min sha'airillah. You recite the ayah, and again, this will be found in your dua books. And you start what's called your sa'i. Now, here for sa'i, you do not need wudu. It's recommended, but you do not need wudu. In addition, this should be a time of making dhikr as well and making dua. One of the du'as is a long dua Ibn Umar would make, but one of them was, اللهم اغفر وارحم وتجاوز عما تعلم إنك أنت العزيز الأكرم. Again, you'll find this in your dua book. And when you stand on Safa, you will face towards the Qibla and you'll say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika la. And there's a dua, dhikr you'll say, and then you'll make dua, then you'll repeat it again, then you'll make dua, then you'll repeat that again, and you make dua. Now again, all of that is sunnah. The requirement is merely to go from Safa to Marwa and back 7 times total. But what I'm mentioning in between is highly encouraged to do. So What are you going to do? You're going to go, Safa will always be an even number, and Marwa will always be an odd number. So the seventh, when you get to number seven, you should be at Marwa and you know you've done the proper number. When you get here, and this is all in, I'm sure you've seen it on television, it's all inside part of the haram now. There will be two green lights for the men, and only for the men. It is recommended that you run in between those lights, obviously being cautious of those around you, because this is to represent the tawakkul and the taking the means that Hajar, the wife of Ibrahim alayhi salam, or the mother of Ismail, did when she was running back and forth from Safa to Marwa, climbing up on these small mountains to see if there's any water, if there's any help, civilization, because her baby was dying of dehydration. Okay. So again, this is only for the men to do. So if you have women with you, then run it and then just let them wait and let them until they catch up to you. And so this will be, you start here, then you get here, that's one. Then you come back, that's two, then three, then four. The same process that we mentioned. And like I said, you end on Marwa. Now, once you finish Marwa, you are still not complete with your own. You must cut your hair in order to get out of the state of ihram. So for women, you just take a small, like an inch worth of your hair or so, and you cut it. And you do that, by the way, at your hotel. Don't, break your hair out in front of everyone. That's considered awra, and cut your hair. And then for the men, you can shave your head get a haircut or shave your head. There's a lot of barber shops that you'll find around the hotels. And yes, the sunnah is to shave your head, but I'm going to perform Hajj in a couple of days. That's still more recommended, but cutting the hair is sufficient. Okay, now you're in Mecca for a few days. What are some of the best things that you can do? The number one is to pray your salawat in the haram. Number two, just reciting Quran and making dhikr and being in the haram. Three, tawaf. And this is a debated issue. Is it better to pray sunnah while or to do multiple umrahs, or to perform tawaf? We'll just say that one of the absolute best things that you can do while you're in Mecca is voluntary tawaf. So let's say you pray Fajr, let's say you wait, you sit, you read Quran, you do your adhkar until sunrise, then you go perform tawaf. It's an excellent routine, and you get your steps in, okay? Now, you can also, there are museums or tours that you can go on that are also very beneficial. They have a very nice museum for the Mountain of Hira museum. But from a devotional standpoint, these are some of the best things that you can do. And you're essentially in that downtime or free time until the 8th day of the Hijjah, which is when Hajj is going to officially start. So on the 8th day, you're going to get back into the state of ihram, and you're going to make your way to Mina, the Mina campsite, where you will start your Hajj process or ritual. Now, what do you do? What's the timeline of your Hajj from here until the end of your Hajj? So Mina, like we said, is Sunnah, highly recommended Sunnah on the 8th day. And we'll discuss what you'll do there. The 9th day, put that on your calendars. That is your life right there. That is literally your salvation, because like I said, we speak about some of the virtues of Arafah. That is what it's all about. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Hajju Arafah. Hajj is Arafah, meaning the pinnacle, the crux of Hajj is on the day of Arafah. And that's on the 9th day. Then you will spend that night in Muzdalifah, which is obligatory to at least spend some of the night there. Then you will head back to Mina. Here is a very busy day on that day of Eid for the Hujjaj, because now you'll stone, you will do your slaughter, you will shave or cut your hair, and you will ideally perform tawaf, but you don't have to. And we'll get into now what gets you out of the state, or shortly, what gets you out of the state of that ihram. On the 10th day as well, like I said, you can perform your ifada, your pillar of tawaf, or your pillar of one of the pillars of Hajj, which is that tawaf, as well as another pillar, which is Safa and Marwa again. Then you will be back to Mina for the 11th, 12th, and possibly the 13th, depending on if you leave early. And those days, as the Prophet ﷺ said, are the days of eating, drinking, and remembering Allah. And the only ritual you have to do with regards to Hajj is just to throw at the three jamarat, which again, we'll get into more detail. And then Mecca, before you leave, one of the last things that you should do is what's called Tawaf al-Wada', which is a farewell Tawaf. Okay, before we go further and start with now the official Hajj, are there any questions related to Ihram or Umrah?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Are we allowed to ask, or do you want us to just
Yes,
type the question? Okay, I posted it in the chat. It's my question. So if you'd rather just read it, you can. But I had a question about menses and entering into ihram. If calculating the dates and the sister's like unsure, will I still be in my menses when I get to Mina, or will I be able to purify myself before I get to Mina? So what intention should she make if she's not able to perform Umrah before she gets to Mina versus if she can't do Umrah? So can you please explain?
Sure. Okay. One of the most difficult issues that come up at Hajj is a woman's period. And what complicates it as well is not just a woman's normal cycle, but then also what complicates it is when women start to take birth control or other pills to prevent their period from happening at its normal time. That always causes problems. Why? Because consistently I've seen when women do that, they end up having spotting. Okay. So the number one thing where you have to that the period will prevent you from, it's not your ihram, it's not any of that. It is tawaf. Tawaf, as we said, is similar to salah, which means that you have to be in a state of purity. And so that's where it becomes more complicated. But other than that, a woman is able to do everything else related to Hajj. She can get in the state of Ihram, she can go to Mina, she can do everything. The only restriction is Tawaf al-Ifada. And even then, that Tawaf, yes, it's recommended to do it on the 10th day. However, it is Sunnah, it is Sunnah to do it on the 10th day, but you're allowed to delay it up until when you leave. In fact, you can even combine it, according to some scholars, with your farewell tawaf. So if it comes down to like the 0 hour where it's my period's not going to finish until that morning, then that's you can perform it then. Now the question comes, okay, but what about if I'm spotting? I'm showing some blood and then it's no blood. What do you do then? So what you will do in that scenario is you will consider when you're bleeding as your period and when you're pure as pure. But it has to be that you're actually pure, meaning when a woman gets her period, especially if it's in the beginning, if it's at the end, I mean, every woman's different, but you may have where, yeah, the bleeding stops for a little bit and then comes back. Well, how do you know? And this is general for how you know that you have purified, you become pure from your period. There's two signs, and one was more common in the past. It just doesn't seem to be as prevalent now, which is called qasatul bayda. That is where a clear discharge will exit that lets a woman know that she is no longer on her period. The other way to know in absence of that is by taking a tissue or something and a woman checks herself, and if it comes out clear with no discoloration, then she's considered pure. Okay, how does that relate? Because if a woman, her period is acting up, or she took medicine or whatever it may be, and it's spotting, once she sees that she's pure, okay, take a shower, go perform your tawaf. Even if it's your tawaf al-wada' and you're combining between the two. All right, but after I finish my tawaf, I found spotting. Doesn't matter because you don't know, was that spotting unless you felt it, you don't know. And even if you feel it, you have to actually see it because it could have happened afterwards. So that would take care of that issue. So yes, it's always an issue that comes up. Also, there was a dua, I thought perhaps I accidentally skipped over it, but there's when you make your intention for ihram, you want to say labbaik Allahumma bi umrah. If you're performing umrah, you say, oh Allah, I'm making the intention for umrah. And if If it's for Hajj, you'll say for Hajj. If it's on behalf of someone else, you'll say it, I'm making my intention for Umrah on behalf of so-and-so. But if this is your Hajj, your Umrah, if you've never done it, then you're not allowed to do it on anyone else's until you've completed yours. And then there's a great dua, which it's in these slides. I apologize, I may have just skimmed over it in the Umrah slides. There's a great
Sheikh, I also have a question about the menses too. When you're done with that, sorry.
Farida, let's
Whenever,
wait. Sheikh
yeah,
Tariq,
whenever.
the dua is further down.
Okay.
When you start detailing, it's not now.
Okay. So we'll get to it. We'll get to it. One of the great du'as to say that will help with this situation. Okay, brother Abu Muhammad. And then yes, another question said for menstruation.
I'm sorry, because my question, I was the first one that asked, I just had a follow-up because I didn't understand exactly your answer. Do you mind if I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I'm just wondering though, like, do you make the intention for Hajj Tamattu even if you're on your menses, or is it different intention? And is the Umrah complete if you are on your menses? Like, do you even perform Umrah, or do you just do Hajj then? Like, that's what I'm confused about.
Okay, so excellent question. So if you're on your period when you first arrive and you don't anticipate completing your Umrah before you're going to go to Mina because you will still be on your menses, then no, you won't make the intention for Tamattu. You can make Qiran, which is Qiran. Here's the easiest way to imagine it. Wherever you go, your shadow goes if it's a sunny day, right? That's essentially Qiran. Your actions of Hajj are also your actions of Umrah combined together. But understand that if that's what you're doing, you have to remain in the state of Ihram until you complete your Hajj. Is that clear? So meaning, if let's say you arrive on the 5th of the Hajj, the 6th of the Hajj, but you're on your period, you just started your period, and you're not going to complete it in time to perform Umrah. What did I say? What intention you're going to make for Hajj? Something called?
Get on.
Okay. You will, though, have to remain in the state of Ihram for those 2 extra days because you will not get out of it until you're able to perform the rest of the main rituals of Hajj, which we'll discuss now.
And what if you're unsure if you'll be able to purify yourself? Like you're towards the end of your menses, right before when you reach Mecca, and you're not sure if by Mina you'll be able to purify yourself, then what intention should you make? The Tamattu?
So we'll get to that. That's where you can make the condition. You can make the condition, Allahumma mahalli haytu habastani. Oh Allah, if you're anticipating your period or getting sick or something else, that's where you can make the intention to say, oh Allah, my getting out of the state of Ihram is wherever I'm prevented. So if, for example, then you have your period or it doesn't end or it starts, that will be a way out of your Umrah, a way out of your Ihram, sorry. Does that clarify it?
Yes, Jazakallahu khairan, Shaykh.
Okay, so and hopefully, sister, as well, will become clear once we get to that particular section. But as I said, it also is dependent on your timeline of your period. But those are the 2 main safest options. Oh, sorry, brother Abu Muhammad. I have why is my hand up? That's me. Okay, I have Iola, Naeem, and Dr. Taif.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam.
Yeah, my question, I believe, is simple, but I just never know. So the question is that I'm flying into Dubai, and you did say that before you enter the state of Ihram, you have to shave, clean up, or something like that. But so since I will be in transit, is it something that I could do from home here in the US before embarking on the trip?
No, I would recommend, I mean, you can, but I would recommend that you just do it when you're in Dubai. Are you going to Mecca or Medina first?
Yeah, I'm going to Mecca, and we're having a layover in United Arab Emirates, Dubai.
Just do it in Dubai.
But would there be a bathroom or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah. You just, I mean, you'll have to go to a stall and, put your on. Again, this is more of a personal thing. If you want to just be in the state of Ihram all the way from when you leave here in the States, you can do that. But logistically,
Sheikh Tariq, I'm sorry to interrupt. You didn't understand the brother's question. The
okay.
brother's question, the shaving, the trimming, the clipping, he
Oh,
can do from the US, he doesn't do in Dubai.
yeah.
So
Okay.
the
Sorry.
answer is yes, but do your ihram, wear your ihram from Dubai, inshallah.
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you. Jazakallah khair.
Hayyak Allah, ya ayuha.
Assalamu alaikum. This Naeem here. Very quick question regarding wearing the ihram that I never wear the sheet. So can I use the safety pins?
You want no. My stance is no, because, and we'll show you how to wear the ihram. There'll be a diagram for it. But no, because it's a general answer. No, because that the garment are worse. But
Okay.
that then
That's fine. Can this PPT be available? It's pretty helpful. Can it be available, this presentation?
I believe so, inshallah.
Okay, Brother Fareed will get it from you.
But if someone has a, like, for example, we're just it always falls off, or then that's different. That's different. Then they can, inshallah. But it's better to avoid. It's definitely better to avoid. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Dr. Latif. Okay. Jazakallah khair for the information. Quick question. You mentioned for the man in open toe sandals, okay, or the slippers with the one, that goes right between the big toe and the toe right next to it. What about for women? What do you recommend?
Women, this is not a restriction for women. So women can wear shoes. They can wear whatever they want.
Jazakallah khair.
Women shouldn't be exposing their feet, because that's considered awrah. So women should have their feet covered.
Jazakallah khair.
Okay. Just a comment as the Sheikh continues. Can we all make sure we're on mute? Thank you.
Okay, there's Iola and Musa.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. I just wanted to ask quickly, if our flight is landing in Jeddah, but our first hotel is in Medina, we're gonna be like going outside of Mecca and then coming back in. Should we have the ihram on before getting to Jeddah, even though the Umrah will be coming in from Medina?
But you're coming from Medina to Mecca, right?
Yes.
That's an excellent question. It's an excellent question, but you will treat Jeddah as a transit. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
Meaning you'll do ihram from Medina.
Mm-hmm. Jazakumullah.
Okay. And okay, is that it for questions? We will continue.
Tariq, I have a question for you. Last year, there are brothers who were transiting through Jeddah.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not have ihram because they're going to do it from Medina, of course.
Mm-hmm.
However, there were flight delays,
Mm-hmm.
and they entered Jeddah past the deadline where they can enter Medina through Jeddah.
Okay.
And they were stuck not going to Medina, but had to go to Mecca. And some of them had ihram with them.
Yeah.
So they have to pay fidya for this, even though they had nothing to do with it and they were forced?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And the short answer is, I don't know. Allahu Alam, my instinct tells me they would, but I'd have to research it more.
Jazakallah khair.
Yeah, it's a good question. In fact, even when the brother was mentioning this scenario, I was actually playing that possible scenario. So yeah, Allahu A'lam.
Okay.
Okay, so let's start with Hajj. It helps to have an image of what Hajj looks like, or the terrain of the areas that we're going to talk about, Muzdalifah, Mina, Arafah. So this, if you look at Google Maps, here is Mecca. Masjid al-Haram is right here, okay? Mina, which is going to be the bulk of where you're staying, is this whole tent city you see here. Further down, which is directly after Mina, is Muzdalifah. And then you have Arafat, that is past that. So, again, just to give you a very quick tour before we get into the detail, from Mecca, you will stay at Mina the night of the 8th. You will go past Muzdalifah on the 9th, and you will come here to Arafat. Arafat, you will stay until sunsets on Maghrib. Then you will make your way to Muzdalifah. You will sleep in Muzdalifah, and then you will make your way back to Mina. From Mina, you will perform your tawaf and your sa'i in Mecca within those days, and then you will end your Hajj on the 12th or the 13th in Mina, and the rest of your time will be in the apartments or back at a hotel, depending on what your program is. Okay, so this is the general layout of what it looks like. Now, how to wear ihram. There are multiple tactics in how to wear it. The easiest way for the bottom is you leave some space between your feet. That way, when you tie it, it's not so restricted where you can't walk. And then you will wrap one end around and then the other around that. Now, this is, again, my preferred method. From there, you won't just wrap around and then tuck the ends in. You will roll over the ends so it creates a natural belt. And anytime it needs tightening, one of the easiest things to do to adjust it is just to roll over that waist part that you created. Again, yes, it will shorten the ihram, but just in the meantime, if you're in the car, you're stopping from the bus or something as a quick fix, just to make sure it doesn't get too loose, okay? For the top part, one of the best things to do, or one of my preferred, which was the style of Sheikh Muhammad al-Sharif, rahmatullahi alayhi, is the Jedi net style, which is where you take your rida, you make your left-hand side or your right, it doesn't really matter, a little bit longer than the other side. And you bring it across like this, and you will tuck the end of it into, by the way, you can all see me, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You will take that end of it, you will reach it behind your back, and you will tuck it into that waistband you created. You will then take this end, your right end, and you will wrap it around that, and you will tuck that into the back part of that waistband as well. What do you have here? You have your very well covered up, and it's stylish. What we call it, like the Jedi Knight kind of style. Okay, so that is my personal preferred method. And then, like I said, when you're performing your tawaf for Umrah, you're going to take this end and you will tuck it underneath your armpit, wrap it around your shoulder, and then just to keep it secure, you take that and you tuck it in. Okay? Okay, that's for how to wear ihram. Now, again, what is the dua that you say at this point? Labbaik Allahumma hajjan. Oh Allah, sending Hajj for your sake. And you will start the talbiyah. The talbiyah is one of the most recommended things to say during this time. لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك. Believe me, you'll have it memorized by this time, inshallah. And you will then continue that until on the 10th day when you stone what's called the Jamarat. And again, we'll discuss that in more detail. So, a person that fears that they will be prevented from completing Hajj, let's say, la qadr Allah, like in the past, for example, if there were, or what happened in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when they were prevented, this was before this dua, but when the Kuffar of Quraysh prevented them, Or for example, if a person is really sick and they fear that their sickness is going to get worse. Or for example, if a woman fears she's going to get her period or her period is not going to end, then all they need to do, and again, going back to that original question about the period, all they need to do is when they make that intention, they say, لبيك اللهم حجا وإن حبسني حابس فمحلي حيث حبستني. And you can say it in any language. Here I am, O Allah, intending Hajj. But if anything were to prevent me from completion, then my release from ihram shall be the place in which you prevented me. Why? Because وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ. Allah Azza wa Jalla says you must complete the Hajj and the Umrah for Allah's sake. Once you make the intention of ihram, you can't just say, oh, I'm tired. Oh, there's too much crowd. Oh, I'm just not going to perform Umrah. I'll just save it for Hajj. You can't do that. You have to perform it in order to get out of the state of ihram. So this is a way out of that default ruling. Okay, then you're going to go to Mina. And Fareed, let me know if this are these what the tents look like now?
Yeah, we made sure that we got the latest and greatest. It's a lot better than when you used to go to Hajj.
Okay.
This is Mina, yes.
Listen out. All right. This used to only be for like the VIP tents for everyone. So it's definitely an upgrade, mashallah, tabarakallah. Okay, so this is what Mina looks like. This is what your daily life is going to look like during those days, okay? And again, one thing that to always keep in mind is the purpose of your Hajj. You're going to see some things that you're not going to like. The most important thing is to not become so cynical. Listen, we as Americans, as Westerners in general, are very spoiled, not just in our lifestyle, but also in the general etiquette and manners that we were raised with. And these manners and etiquettes, many of them are from our Islamic values. Many people in the world were not necessarily raised that way. So you're going to see people budging, you're going to see people shoving, you're going to see people fighting over, a free thing of water instead of just having patience. You're going to see a lot of things that are going to annoy you. What you have to do is remember, well, you know what? I have enough problems to worry about that maybe these people don't have. I have enough of my own sins that I need to worry about myself. Number two, did you guide yourself or was it Allah that guided you? So that helps you become humble enough to where it won't, inshallah, drive you crazy to where when you see something you dislike, inshallah, you will just be happy and content that, oh Allah, for whatever reason, you protected me from that. And I have my shortcomings that maybe they don't have. Guide me and guide them, okay? And be patient. All right, so in Mina, you're going to pray Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha, and Fajr at their respected times, but shortened, okay? Then you're going to, at that night in Mina, you're going to spend the night. And again, this is where there should be getting ready mentally, physically, get rest for the next couple of days because they're going to be more intense. This is a good time if you haven't already prepared your dua list that you want to make, because you don't want to leave anything out on the field. I mean, you want to leave everything out on the field, sorry. You don't want to come back and, oh, I wish I would have made dua for this. Oh, I wish I would have made dua for that. You want it all, okay? So one of the best things to do is to make dua, a dua list, and by organizing it. Okay, my dua for my religion, my dua for my next life, my dua for my dunya, my dua for my children, my parents, etc. Break it up and then expand it from there. It's nice to familiarize yourself as well with Mina to know your surroundings because it's easy to get lost in the campsite. Again, spending the night in Mina is recommended to do. After sunrise on the day of Arafat, you will head out to Arafat. Again, Fareed, this is what the tents look like in Arafat?
Yes, they do.
Listen, we used to take ice, wherever ice we could find from the coolers, and we would wrap it in our ihram and like have to keep it on ourselves just to keep us cool. But mashallah, tabarakallah, things have, alhamdulillah, gotten better. So now keep in mind though, Arafat doesn't officially start until the Zawal. Prophet himself didn't make his way into Arafah until after Dhuhr. Okay? So why do I say that? Because you're going to be there beforehand. So that if you want to rest up to have energy from that afternoon on, then do that. That's fine. I mean, obviously, always be in the state of production. Don't waste any time when you're at Hajj. But know that the official start time for Arafah is going to be after the Hajj. Arrive at Arafah before Zawal if possible. Picture of Arafah. Okay, what are some things to do during Arafah? All right, like we said, the Prophet ﷺ said that Hajj is Arafah, and whoever gets to Arafah on the night of Jama', the night of Muzdalifah, meaning the night precedes the day, whoever gets there, then before Fajr, sometime between that before Fajr or the next day, they've gotten to Arafah, even if it's just a split second and they're just passing through, they've achieved Arafah. And the days of Mina are 3, but whoever hastens to leave in 2 days, then there's no sin upon them. And whoever remains, there's no sin upon them, as Allah says in the Quran, in Surah Al-Baqarah. And the Prophet ﷺ said that the best thing that I and all the prophets before me ever said on the day of Arafah is La ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah, lahu al-mulk wa lahu al-hamdu yuhyi wa yumeet wa huwa ala kulli shay'in qadir. It's the best thing you can say. And as I said, this is what it's all about. So Arafah, Prophet ﷺ said, ما من يوم أكثر من أن يعتق الله فيه عبدا من النار من يوم عرفة. That Allah Azza wa Jal, there is no day throughout the entire year that Allah Azza wa Jal frees more people from hellfire than on the day of Arafah. وَإِنَّهُ لَيَدْنُو. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He will boast in front of His angels, and He will say, and He will come down in a way that befits His majesty, that, oh my angels, look at my slaves, look at them, look at them. They have come from every corner of the world. They're disheveled. They're a mess. They've done all of this out of sacrifice and devotion for me. So bear witness that I have forgiven them. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said that Shaitan on the day of Arafah is throwing dust and dirt in his face, saying that I'm destroyed. What a loss, what a loss. All these people that I worked to misguide, now they've been forgiven in an instant, no matter what their sin. The Prophet said, saw the scene of Shaitan, he started to laugh. And the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, what's making you laugh? And so he mentioned the way that Shaitan is humiliated on the stage. When he knows that Allah Azza wa Jalla has forgiven all of his slaves, and he will be the guarantor for the wrong that they took between one another. Meaning that, as a general rule in our religion, that your sins may be forgiven between you and Allah, but the sins that you incurred by transgressing against your Muslim brother or sister, you took something without right, you backbit them, you slandered them, etc., that will never be forgiven with Allah until they forgive you for it. Or you find, if it's impossible for that to happen, that you find some way to expiate for it. But Allah Azza wa Jalla says that even their tabi'at, these things, I will be their guarantee for them on the Day of Judgment for it. Okay? So Arafah is, again, a center part of your whole entire life. And even though I would highly recommend that you take some earplugs, take anything to distract you from the outside distractions of people. If you can go outside and be in the space where you can stay cool enough where it's not dangerous, do that, and just sometimes look and reflect. Well, one of the most amazing sights at Arafah is when you see this, especially when it gets close to Maghrib time. You see people on the mountain begging for Allah's mercy. It looks like it's the day judgment's about to start. All of these people came for the same intention, just to be forgiven, just to seek Allah's mercy, just to seek Allah's pleasure. And so it's a sight that, bi'idhnillah, you will never forget. And when the Prophet ﷺ laughed about that, and he said why he was laughing, Umar said, Ya Rasulullah, is it only for us, this event of this forgiveness? And the Prophet ﷺ said, it's for you and it's for anyone who comes until the Day of Judgment to Arafah. So may Allah Azza wa Jalla accept from all of you. And in your dua, let's please keep me and Farid in your dua. So on Arafah, you will combine Dhuhr and Asr prayers, regardless of whether you pray in the masjid or in your tent. After Salah, it's time to get serious. After Salah, it's time, like I said, to get comfortable, find a niche spot, and if that means going outside and just making dua as much as you can. We mentioned this. Okay, what are some things or mistakes that people make during Arafah? So the sunnah is to not fast for the one doing Hajj on Arafah because you want to conserve your energy as best as possible. Number two, you have to stay until the sun sets. You have to be there sometime before the sun sets. Also, or before, that's just be on the safe side, otherwise it's before Fajr the next day. Also, standing outside the limits of Arafah, you have to be within the borders of Arafah, which inshallah, again, you have to worry about. Like I said, not wasting any time or idle talk, and especially not engulfing in sin or making fun of someone or anything. Then when the sun sets, you will not pray Maghrib and Isha. You will delay that until you get to Muzdalifah. Now, I would highly encourage that you make your wudu at while you're waiting for the bus or the shuttle to take you to Muzdalifah. The bathrooms are very difficult to get access to at Muzdalifah, so it's easiest if you can make your wudu at Arafah before you head out, before it gets or once the bathrooms kind of settle down. That way you're in the state of wudu and you don't have to worry about it when you get there. Otherwise, the next thing is you just always have a water bottle, and you have someone go with you to pour the water old school style to make your wudu. And that will especially be helpful at Fajr time. At Fajr time the next day when there's like a 2-hour line for the bathroom. If you also, when you, the sunnah is to go in even if it's in a bus, that you go in a calm manner and you are on your way to Muzdalifah. Again, leaving at Arafah, important points. And these are probably based on last year, but you want to pray, like we said, Maghrib and Isha as soon as you get to Muzdalifah. But if it means that you're not going to get there until after half the night is passed, then pray it when you're on your way, because some scholars consider that outside the time of Salat. Also, and during these times, you can pray your witr as well after Isha. And when it's also the Prophet ﷺ sent out the women and the children, the elderly, to spend half the night at Muzdalifah. Once they spent half the night, then he sent some of the Sahaba out to take them so that they could go perform their stoning and their tawaf when it's less crowded for people. So this is what Muzdalifah looks like. It's very crowded. You're going to be, and just as another tip, the next day, like I said, is an impactful day full of rituals and devotion. Please be considerate. When you're in Muzdalifah, and like I said, you're right next to one another, and it's already difficult to sleep on the ground. Try to not have conversations and be up all night. Maybe you're going to sleep all day in Mina, but maybe others want to go perform tawaf and other things. So be considerate of just common courtesy things. Be considerate of people, your brothers and sisters. Also, when it comes to Muzdalifah, as we said, you'll combine those two, pray, but always pray witr. Here's where you can collect your stones as well. Now, yes, the Prophet ﷺ, in the morning of Arafah, or in the morning of Muzdalifah, after Muzdalifah, he sent Fadl and Ibn Abbas to go get stones for him, pebbles for him. But you can do it the night before because it's going to be tough in the morning. And he only did it for the next day of stoning. However, because it will be more difficult to find pebbles and stones elsewhere, feel free to gather as many as you can, but just some things related to the stones. They should be like the size of like a lima bean or a chickpea, but you have to make sure that they're actually stones. So a lot of what you're going to find in Muzdalifah, it's just, like congealed dirt, or it's like a cement. And so the way you can tell is if you try to crush it with your hand and it crushes, that's not a stone. So make sure they're actual pebbles and stones. And I think they'll provide bags for you for that. But if not, empty out a water bottle and throw them in there, or drink the water and utilize it and then put it in there. You'll want to pray Fajr right at the time of Fajr when Fajr first comes in. Then you stay and you make dua until it becomes al-isfirar, when it starts to get light out, or what they call first light, which is what, about 40 minutes or so after Fajr. And then that's when you start to make your way towards Mina. So again, some things to not do is to delay your salawat past half of the night. Spending the night outside of Muzdalifah, because spending the night in Muzdalifah, at least half the night, is the obligation. Again, stones can be collected from everywhere, but it's easiest to collect them there. We mentioned about letting the women and the elderly go. And then, like we said, to stay as close as you can to, close to sunrise, and then you leave after sunrise, because that was to leave before sunrise, sorry, because leaving after sunrise was the practice of the Jahiliyyah. So you want to start to make your way out and leave, as we said, at the Isfirar. The Prophet stood and made dua and adhkar until the Isfirar, and then, so like first light, and then he started to make his way back towards Mina. Now you're back to Mina. Farid, how long do we have to go for?
Okay, there was one question about wristbands and so forth and so on. I would rather you strictly focus on fiqh of Hajj, and then leave the logistics, transportation, time leave, how long, crowds, and other issues to watch for. Leave that, inshallah. We will be having a lecture next Saturday, and I will be going in more details about logistics.
Okay, so we can, how much, when do we have to, like a hard stop?
We always give an hour talk and give time for questions and answers so people don't get bored from lengthy lectures. But whatever you feel is necessary is fine.
I guess everyone else, then, I mean, we could finish this within the half hour, inshallah, or if you all prefer, we stop here. We take Q&A, and then next week we finish up. I guess.
Fantastic. I would rather that, actually. And this way, that will give...
Saturday. I'm probably going to be traveling. So if we could do it the week after.
Khair, inshallah. You want to stop here?
Again, I'm down to go for, I'm okay to go for another half hour and finish up. If people prefer that we stop here and take Q&A and then have a half hour session sometime later.
Let's stop here and take questions and answers.
Okay. Okay, are there any questions about what we covered?
Assalamu alaikum. Quick question. Are we allowed to take the jamarat or the small rocks from Medina, or bring it in a small bag from the US?
No.
Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum. Are we allowed to take Zamzam with us back in the US?
Yes, you will. At Jeddah Airport, inshallah, or even Medina Airport, the Saudi government will allow one bottle, 1 gallon, I guess it's maybe a couple of liters per person. It's packed. You show them your visa and your passport. They give it to you. It's already packaged. You just write your name on it and you check it in. What you guys need to pay attention to, those that are having domestic connections in the US. From Saudi, they will give it to you as a free piece of luggage. Whether it's Turkish, Saudi, Emirates, it doesn't matter which airline. However, if you have 2 bags plus Zamzam, and you arrive to New York and you need to pick a flight to Miami or Atlanta or Dallas or wherever you are, then the airline is not going to allow you, and they're going to charge you for an extra piece. Just keep that in mind.
Okay. Jazakallah khair.
Oh, yeah.
And also, so for the questions, if we could keep them directed for the fiqh questions, and then for the logistical questions, inshallah, Brother Farid can handle all those.
السلام عليكم.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
نعم، أنا بسأل طواف الإفاضة وطواف الوداع عمرة كاملة ولا بس فقط طواف؟
للعمرة؟
طواف الإفاضة وطواف الوداع هي عمرة كاملة، يعني فيها طواف وفيها سعي، ولا بس طواف حول الكعبة؟
لا، لابد من الحاج، لابد من طواف الإفاضة والسعي. لكن يمكن التفريق بينهما أو ما يسمى يعني لا يشترط الموالاة بينهما. يعني ممكن إذا فعلت مثلا طواف الإفاضة يوم العاشر، ما في بأس أن تؤخري السعي يوم يومين 3 أيام بعد ذلك. المهم
يعني اليوم الطواف الإفاضة والقدوم هو طواف وسعي في نفس الوقت.
لا طواف القدوم غير. طواف القدوم طبعا إذا كنت متمتعة فهناك طواف للعمرة، بعد ذلك سيكون طواف آخر اسمه طواف الإفاضة، هذا هو الركن من الحج. وهناك
طواف
أكثر من طواف، يعني في طواف العمرة إذا كان متمتع، هناك طواف العمرة، طواف الإفاضة، طواف الوداع. لابد من طواف العمرة، لابد من طواف الإفاضة للحج، والطواف الوداع واجب قبل مغادرة مكة، قبل مغادرة مكة.
I'll translate inshallah for the brothers and sisters. I think the sister's question was, when you do your tawaf al-ifada and tawaf al-wada', are both of them full as you perform umrah or not? That's what I understood. Tawaf al-qudum is basically like, which is a umrah, which you do tawaf and sa'i together. And when you do tawaf al-ifada, which is also as if you're performing umrah, you must do tawaf and sa'i as well. Now you can delay the sa'i if you like, but you do tawaf and sa'i. Tawaf al-ifada requires a sa'i. Now when you do the farewell tawaf, tawaf al-wada' is not like a umrah. It's only a tawaf. It doesn't require a sa'i in it. Correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
You said طواف الوداع doesn't require sa'i, right?
نعم.
Yeah.
جاوبتك على سؤالك يا أختي؟
نعم صحيح.
حياك الله، الله يبارك فيك. والله ما شاء الله, that means nobody is asking anything, so everybody's been listening and attending to YouTube videos and attending inshallah lectures in their masjid or any other, lectures being given here and there, so they can educate themselves. What really matters is familiarity with the lingo, the expressions, the terminology, is for us to be aware of what is tawaf, what is sa'i, what is rami, what is ittiba', what is ramal. And when all these terms are used, so this way when lectures are given, we understand what's going on, inshallah. If there is no more fiqh question, inshallah, and Sheikh yes, go ahead.
Referee, the question came up from my wife. How about toothpaste? Is there a flavorless toothpaste available somewhere?
Tariq, you want to answer this question? So you and I are...
And also, can you use toothpaste? Can you use, thank you for bringing that up, actually. Can you use shampoo? Here's the problem. The problem is that, yes, you can use hygienic products. The problem is they have fragrances. And you're not allowed to have fragrances.
Use another way to make the transfer.
Is it allowed to use these things when they have a dual purpose? And if the problem, though, is with a lot of these items is that the fragrance is one of the main ingredients. If you look at it, because that's a marketing ploy and everything. So again, it is better to avoid. Now, can you get fragrance-free soaps and toothpaste? And yes, you can. You'll find it in almost any pharmacy when you're in Mecca and Medina.
And there is also Siwak toothpaste that you can buy online, and that doesn't have any, doesn't taste or smell like perfume or anything. If nobody has any more questions for Sheikh Tariq,
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Just question about the ihram, يعني الرداء والإزار. هل يمكن أن نرتدي يكون معنا إزارين ورداءين, means 2 ihrams, and change them during okay.
Yeah, ما في إشكال أبدا.
You can change your ihram. That's what the question was. You can wear as many ihrams as you want, change them every hour if you like. And you can jump into the shower every hour if you like. But as long as you make sure that you don't go wash your ihram with very beautiful scented, detergent, and then you put your ihram on. It needs to be scent free. When you take a shower or you wash, also it needs to be scent free. And especially, I personally avoid taking a shower when I'm in a state of ihram, because remember, cutting and trimming the hair, you shouldn't do that. So a lot of people don't wash out, and they get, they put their hand through their beard and they pull the extra hair out, and and that's not permissible. So that's why this is me personally, but Sheikh Tariq will probably talk about the fiqh aspect of, brushing your hair all the time and brushing your beard and hair coming out. And
yeah, so yeah, again, it's optional, but like Brother Farid said, it's better to be on the safe side and be cautious. And yes, you shouldn't be, and that wasn't the sunnah of the Prophet. I mean, it was normally, but not at Hajj or Umrah, because of that fear that hair or whatnot's going to come out. Also, I saw a question with relation to lotion or cream, or as long as it doesn't have fragrance, then yes, you can apply it.
I also had a quick question. For the different kinds of tawaf, like the ifada and the wada, are they all 7, or are there different counts
Any
for?
ever do or 7 cycles around the Kaaba.
Okay. جزاكم الله خير.
بسأل كم أيام الحج يعني تقريبا يعني كلها، ولو بالشهور يعني ماي جون، لو قدرت أحدد لنا من يوم كده ليوم كده هو يوم يعني أيام الحج.
Go ahead, Farid, if you want to.
أيام الحج, Hajj starts on the 8th of the Hijjah, and that's when we go to Mina. 9th Arafah, 9th evening Muzdalifah, 10 morning back to Mina, 11 Mina, 12 in Mina, and either you leave on the 12th before sunset, or you stay till the 13th and leave as well before sunset. So this is the Hajj. Hajj is 8 to 12 or 8 to 13. It's 5 or 6 days. That's it.
Assalamu alaikum, ya Sheikh. Yeah, the question I have is that, so the tawaf will be done from 10, 11, 12, and 13. Is that correct?
It can be done up until when you leave Mecca.
Okay.
As long as it's within the month of the Hijjah.
Yeah, as long as you're not staying past the Hijjah. Yeah, thank you for that.
طيب خلاص يا شيخ, Allah يجزاك الخير. But Warda, if you have any announcements we need to make?
Yes, we do have.
Sorry. Salam alaikum. I'm sorry. I have just a quick question. Can we change clothes when we enter Mecca after we did the Miyah? Let's say that we will stay in Dubai. We'll have a layover in Dubai before coming to Mecca. From Mecca to do the tawaf. Let's say that you're tired and you want to just change the clothes. Can we do that?
Yeah, so similar to the ihram question, yes, you can change your clothes as many times as you'd like.
Thank you. That's all.
Any other questions? Okay, everyone. Barakallahu feekum. Please, if there were questions that maybe you think about fiqh-related questions afterwards, just write them down, make a note of it, and inshallah, we'll do our best the next session we have to cover them, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, ya Sheikh. Allah barik feek. Tayyib, Warda, your turn.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam wa rahmatullah. Barakallah feek, ya Tariq. Allah yakirmak.
Assalamu alaikum barakallahu.
Salam. It's Warda's turn because she has some announcements to make, inshallah. And then we'll spend a couple of minutes if there's anything else we need to discuss.
Okay, first of all, are you going to explain to them about the form, the ministry form, which they are sending for?
Yes, Jazakallah khair. There is a form that the Hajj ministry wants you guys to fill out and to evaluate the process. Please do spill your guts about what you think. This is the time to help them make an educated decision on how to improve their process. I hear a lot of complaints about it. So please go ahead, fill out the form and respond, and be as clear and sincere and heart from the bottom of your heart how the process was. Do not butter it up, because if we guys do and don't tell them what they're doing wrong, it's
Right.
going to continue for the generations to come. So please do not ignore this form and do fill it out.
And if we do it, they don't block us at the
No,
entrance.
nobody will block you. Nobody. No, she is right. She is right. I have a lot of people that call and complain, and I'm telling brother, sister, talking to me is not going to do you or me any good. So why don't you go to their Facebook, to their X, to their, they say, oh, I'm afraid they will block me.
Right.
No, nobody will block you.
Okay.
Okay? Hayakallah.
Okay. The second thing about the email from the ministry regarding the guide, like many people have
Yes.
received the email.
Now, for some reason, the ministry sent many of you, well, actually everybody, emails, and they chose the guide for them. Okay? Now, let's say you've been with us from day one, and we've been helping you and everything and so forth and so on, and you know that we are your guide and we know your